I'm now at the drill press, and it's time to start drilling the 1-inch diameter holes for the metal washers. The metal washers will be used to help hold the dowels in place. My plan is to use these strong super magnets and embed a couple of magnets inside the base of a knob. I've already installed the magnets inside the knobs. There's one here and there's one here. Over the magnets, I've glued some felt material just to make it look nicer. But basically what's going to happen is with this metal washer in place, when I insert the dowel into the dowel holder, the magnets will be attracted to the washer holding the dowel in place. According to the diagram, the first metal washer will be located 4 inches in from the outside edge of the board. Then from this washer, the next will be at 8 inches, and the next will be at 8 inches again, and then 8 inches again, with another 4-inch gap from the last washer to the end of the board. To make the hole for the washer, I'll be using a 1-inch diameter Forstner bit. The Forstner bit is designed to make a very flat hole. As you can see in this sample piece, the hole is very flat, and when I insert the washer, is perfectly flush. The reason why I'll make these washer inserts first is because the Forstner bit will give me a center point in which I can drill the 1/4-inch hole for the dowel. If I drill the 1/4-inch dowel hole first, I'd have a very difficult time centering the Forstner bit in this opening here. So we'll start with the washer insert and use the point from the Forstner bit as a centering hole for the 1/4-inch drill bit for the wooden dowel. It's going to take me time to get everything set up and marked, so I'm going to stop the video here and I'll come back when I have everything ready to go. I now have the first sample drilled with the Forstner bit. The washer fits perfectly and is just a little bit below the surface to leave room for some glue. I plan to use epoxy glue to hold the washers in place. I also have the fence set so the point of the blade is exactly halfway in between the edges of the board. Each hole will be lined up with the point, held in place, and that's perfect. I'm going to use a little nylon brush to clear the shavings off of the drill bit so I can see where the point is. Very good. I'll finish up the other 2 boards. when gluing surfaces together, the glue joint prefers something to hang on to. In this case, I'll be using epoxy glue to glue the washer into the hole. But as you can see, the washer is quite smooth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the washer and put it on the grinding wheel just for a little bit to give it some rough spots. That should give the glue something to hang on to. Now I'll drill the through holes for the wooden dowels. I've chosen to use 1/4-inch diameter wooden dowels because that's the size of the paper punch I could find, which I'll be using to punch the holes in the plastic bags that'll contain all those little parts from the oscilloscope. 1/4-inch dowel fits through very well. Because pine likes to break out when the drill exits the board, I'm going to put a backer board in place here just to help support the back end of these holes so I don't get a lot of chip out. Because I haven't moved the fence at all, this drill should line up perfectly with the center point made by the Forstner bit. So I'm ready to go. Nice and clean on the exit. I'm also moving the backer board a little bit each time just to kind of give everything a good chance to be clean on the way through the board. Very nice. You can see where the drill went into the pine, it left a bit of a rough edge. So I'm going to use a chamfer bit just to try to clean that up a little bit. It's time to glue the washers onto the dowel support boards, but before I do, I want to clean them up a little bit just to make sure there aren't any oils on them. I'm using rubbing alcohol to clean the washers. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I've decided to put these metal washers on both sides of the rack. That gives me the option to insert the dowel from either direction into the rack. Time to mix up some glue. To spread the glue in the holes for the washers, I'll be using this brush, but the bristles are way too flimsy, so I'm going to shorten them up quite a bit, just so I can have better control over where the glue goes. There. That's better. I'll use this scrap piece of wood as my work surface, as I don't want to get glue on my drill press table. Now this is a 60-minute extra time epoxy, which should give me plenty of time to glue all 8 washers in place. I'm going to be a little generous with the glue here. I'd rather mix up a little too much than not enough. It's not going to take a lot of glue to set those washers in place. We want to keep the squeeze out down to a minimum. I'm going to do my very best to keep my fingers clean so I don't get glue on the wood where it doesn't belong. Okay, that looks good. I'll grab the first board. It's not going to take a lot. I don't really care if I get glue down inside the 1/4-inch hole. I can always open it back up again later. That should be good. Rough side down. If you rotate it just a little bit, it'll help spread the glue out. That looks good. Next. You may be asking yourself, is this guy crazy for going through all this detail for such a simple project? I don't think so. When I'm working on a project like this, I like to be able to do the best job I can, not only because when I'm done with it, I'm more proud of the work I've done, but you never know if it's going to be useful in the future. So I always like making my projects as accurately and clean as possible. Have a little bit of squeeze out here. I'm not worried about it. We'll just scrape that off later. Rough side down. You may have also noticed that most washers have a flat side, like this side here, and a rounded side. I want the flat side up. I think it just looks nicer that way. Okay, you get the idea. I'll finish up the other two boards.